Okay, so I'm telling you to set everything aside that you're doing right now so that you don't miss this. Because this right here is why every born-again believer is wanting and longing to go home. It's exactly why we want nothing that this world could ever possibly offer us. And it's exactly why we watch day and night for the soon return of the lover of our soul, Jesus Christ. You see, the rapture for us is not about escaping anything. I mean, yeah, who wants to be here for any wrath? I don't know anyone who would ever want to be here for that. But the true reason that we are longing for the rapture, for the bridegroom to come snatch us away out of this world, is because our hearts are longing for our marriage to our Savior, to be one with Him, and for Him to come and take us to our wedding. So take a listen to the vision that this woman had.
And then all of a sudden I went into this vision of God's eyes of fire. And it was God's fiery eye that was massive looking at me, and it was vibrating. And He didn't blink. It was like the craziest thing, and it was huge. It looked like it was going to consume me. And then when He focused in on me, His pupils dilated. And I said, "Why don't you blink?" And He said, "Because I can't take my eyes off of you, not even for a second." I'm the God that doesn't sleep or slumber. For to do so would mean that I would have to turn my eyes away from you. I turned my face away from Jesus on the cross so that I could never tear my eyes away from you again. When Jesus cried out, "Father, Father, why have you forsaken me?" It was because the fullness of our sin had been put on Him, and a holy God cannot look upon sin. And so that second of time when God turned away from His Son, it was to pay the price and bridge the gap that our sin had created, that separation in between us and Him. And then, His pupil dilated and it looked like it was going to swallow me. And I said, "Well, wow, why did that just happen?" And He said, "Because when I look at you, I like what I see." And I just began to weep. I said, even in this brokenness, even in this ugliness, even in this place of selfish ambition and impure motivation for doing ministry, God, even in this place, you like what you see? And then I saw my reflection in His eyes. And He says, yes, because when I look at you, I see me. He said, and this is what it means to be the apple of my eye, is that when you see me, you see the reflection of who I always created you to be. And we are just in the journey of the space in between here where you're at and the revealing of everything that I have predestined for you to be in me and in my likeness. And then He says, my eyes seek the earth going to and fro, looking for even one of my weakest worshipers. And I knew in that moment, I was so weak. There is nothing that we can do in our own strength to please God. There's no works that we can do. And when we begin to live our lives from the reality that we are seen by God, then what begins to happen is that we stop living trying to get others to see us. And when God's eyes are on us, then the right people who are supposed to see us will see us. When we stop living from the place of trying to make God's will happen in our lives. And we live from the reality that we are right where we're supposed to be, that we're reaching forward to the high call of Christ, and we're making moves, but also not trying to force things to happen outside of God's timing, then what we'll realize is that God's timing will perfectly unfold in our lives.